Well, a very good evening to you, and thank you for choosing EBN TV. Welcome to the broadcast tonight. I do hope you're keeping safe and warm from wherever you're watching EBN. Well, tonight we've got different news lineup for you. Remember, currently Harambee Stars has just made Kenya proud after beating the host Qatar 2-1. Well, we say congratulations. I'll be letting you know more about that later on. But first, a day after the Nairobi Africa Climate Summit came to an end, activists under the Alliance for Science have voiced their support for the summit declarations. The group have said that they are hopeful that the declaration will help African countries spearhead sustainable development. The Alliance has also expressed disappointment in the sidelining of the youth and lack of gender balance in the just concluded Africa Climate Summit, noting that the youth should be actively involved in charting the way forward in climate change mitigation measures.
The declaration is a 10-point declaration, and you see it, and it acknowledges many things. It acknowledges the Sustainable Development Goals. Our declaration, I said, is 10 points. And as you know, with all declarations, we spend the first 3 points recognizing what the issues are. Recognizing that we are the Africa Climate Summit, and we recognize the efforts of the African Union and heads of government that are here. We recognize that the world has come to Africa, and we are taking this opportunity to speak with one voice and to usher and amplify and echo. We're almost a response to our leaders. You know, Africa, you always have a call and response. They make a call, we respond, and that is how voices get higher and higher, and it's our call to action. So we are here echoing and amplifying and adding. And we're looking at the importance of the SDGs and our vulnerability. We're highlighting
And the Council of Governors have complained of being sidelined in the recent discussions of the 4 bills aimed at spearheading the universal health coverage. Speaking in a meeting with Health CS Susan Nahumicha, Tharaka Nithi County Governor Muthomi Njoki has stressed that governors need to be involved in the process of preparing the bills, as they will be expected to implement them once passed by Parliament. Health CS Nahumicha has assured the governors that the raised issues will be properly addressed.
Our input as a Council of Governors should be incorporated in these bills before they go out to the public. Your legal team and our legal team, which have not sat anywhere, should have sat and agreed on these issues before they go out to the stakeholders, unless we are being treated as stakeholders. Lastly, the 2 levels of government need to respect and avoid intergovernmental disputes which have taken place before.
What if the National Assembly will not capture our interventions? Who is going to implement these bills or these acts? Because I'm seeing a standoff. If you give me a bill or an act to employ 1,695 workers who are CHPs, I cannot do it because of the resources.
These bills have not been developed from nowhere. They have been developed from existing documentations, and the existing documentations have been worked on together with COG. So believe me that your voices are already in these bills, but agree that we should have more time for consultation.
And moving forward in Mombasa County, speaking at the Judges' Annual Colloquium in Mombasa, Chief Justice Martha Koome has raised concerns over interference of Judiciary Service Commission by independent institutions. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission and the Office of the Controller of Budget have been accused of erecting hurdles in the usage and access to judiciary funds, while making it difficult for the judiciary to implement its plans.
The custodians of the social transformation promise of the Constitution envisages that we are to be the enablers for the realization of its aspirations. We are to utilize the law to effect positive social change. We can and we must be enablers of the values and principles of governance that are embodied in the Constitution.
There was a year when judiciary got zero budget allocation for the delays that we have seen. And on our part, we acknowledge there was inadequate planning and management of multi-year projects, and some of the constructions remain incomplete to date, but with clear and deliberate plans for their completion.
Commit that the National Assembly will continue to support the judiciary within the parameters of the Constitution. We cannot at any one moment try to say that the National Assembly, the Senate, or Parliament in general has any right whatsoever to try and hold the judiciary to ransom on any matter. It is purely interdependence within the confines of the Constitution, that what National Assembly is supposed to do under the Constitution for the judiciary, it must do it within the Constitution.
And moving forward, Narok High Court has reaffirmed the decision made earlier by Narok Court of suspending the nomination of Jubilee-nominated member of Narok County Assembly, Alice Kering. In his ruling, Judge Francis Gikonyo stated that the court justified that Kering was not a member of Jubilee Party during her nomination to the County Assembly.
Ili mtu anariwadiwa kulingana na kazi yake. Sasa kama huyo alikuwa opponent wangu, Alice Kering, alitoka from nowhere na akanominatiwa. Ni kumaanisha kuwa kuna jambo alikuwa linaenda vizuri. Lakini kwa sasa ninashukuru Mungu juu kila mtu amejua haki huwa inatendeka. Na zaidi ya yote ninashukuru mahakama kwa sababu mahakama imefanya kama inastahili. Mahakama wamesimama hadi dakika ya mwisho kwa sababu wakati nilianaunsiwa nimewini ya kwanza, huyu Kering alirudisha appeal, lakini mahakama imesimama na msimamo moja. Ninasema ni asante pia kwa mahakama yetu ya Kenya.
Tunamshukuru sana Judge Gikonyo. Tunamshukuru sana kwa kufuata haki. Amefuata haki bila kuwa compromise, na tunasema kwa hakika tunampa heko. Leo tunataka tu kutoa onyo kali na kusema kwa chama zote za Kenya. Narok is not a dumping site of women. Yes. You don't just pick a woman from the other county huko and you want to reward them, and then you come and dump in Narok.
Today, the High Court upheld the decision and the judgment of the trial court, and the High Court found that the election court in the lower court did not miss out the point. She never erred in her ruling or in her judgment, and her judgment was well reasoned, and the court said it cannot disturb that decision because all the parameters, all the legal issues and constitutional issues were captured, and the trial court did not deviate in any of the principles set out in the Constitution.
Now moving to the coastal county of Kilifi, the county governor Gideon Mung'aro has called on his county officials to be effective and ethical while serving the county residents. Speaking during the signing of performance contracts, Governor Mung'aro stated that the county residents are expecting great strides from his leadership. Mung'aro has also stressed that the officials must deliver as promised in his manifesto and the county's development agenda.
I want to remind you that these contracts are not an end in themselves. So as you celebrate the signing of your performance contract today, remember that my expectation is to see improvement in the way we serve the people of Kilifi. My presence in this here is a clear demonstration of my dedication to transform the working culture of Kilifi County Public Service from its current state to a more responsive and result-oriented culture. While I take pride in being the first county in Kenya to sign performance contracts, I will be more glad through this process to be ranked the best performing county overall. To ensure that we remain on track, I have directed that a structure be put in place to ensure there is close monitoring and evaluation of the performance management system. I expect to receive timely quarterly reports. There will be also external evaluation of your performance. At the end of the year, a comprehensive assessment will be done to determine and rank both departmental and individual employee performances.
Up the challenge, Your Excellency. We are going to negotiate a contract with the monitoring, the delivery unit in your office, and I want to promise in the next 7 days we will sign a contract with them. The Directorate of Enforcement, the head is here. We will also negotiate a contract with them. We also expect, Your Excellency, that the chief officers in the next 7 days will also sign contracts with their directors.
And the youth from pastoral communities in the North Rift region have embraced education by joining technical and vocational education training TVETs. This is said to have reduced harmful cultural practices as well as promoting peace and stability in the region. Many youth have joined TVETs to spur their entrepreneurial skills necessary to fill the market gaps and keep off retrogressive cultures like the famous cattle theft.
And Program Officer Azizi Afrique Foundation. We are here in West Pokot County for a campaign dubbed Rebranding of TVET campaign, where we want to change the perception of the youth here to join TVET in large numbers. One of the challenges, or one of the gaps we have identified over time, is that TVET has been seen as the place where failures or people who have performed poorly go to. But we are changing that narrative through this campaign and saying TVET is the way to go and form TVET. As you can see from the behind reflector I have here, we are saying people need to enroll in TVETs so that they're able to gain skills for life and also for them to become fully skilled for work and life as well.
We have around 1,289 TVETs and counting, and around 76 in universities. But you get the funding that government gives, the capitation that we get is less than 5%. So it's a mind shift for the TVET students themselves to join, for policies makers to also think about policies that encourage people to join, for funders to also consider funding the TVET institution to have more people joining, and the community as well, because they're the ones who propagate this notion that it's a place for failures. So just having a positive mindset about TVET, and now we are having the dual training where the employers and the institutions can work together to offer the training that is needed, need-based training.
Well, and still on matters education, students who qualify to join institutions of higher learning in Masimba, Kisii County have received 1 million Kenya shillings worth of scholarship from the area member of County Assembly Scholarship Program under the Buse Mairura Foundation. The MCA has also condemned a section of the students for what he termed as failing to utilize the newly introduced government scholarships and Higher Education Loans Board HELB.
We are here celebrating close to 300 students who have scored the university cutoff. I want to echo what other leaders have been saying across board, that mkienda university mutie bidii na mjue nini imewapeleka hapa. If you allow the world to take over your conduct, that is the end of you. Hawa wanafunzi wana apply scholarship na help. Hawaambiwi apply moja. I even told the ward manager wangu, wakati alipata wengine wana apply, wanasema wao wanataka help, hawataki scholarship. Kamwambia waambie wa apply scholarship na wa apply nini? Help. Huwezi sema eti hawatajua nani maskini. When I was in campus, kuna mtu alikuwa babake ni daktari, mamake ni mwalimu, lakini anapata 50,000 bursary. Nini help? Mimi mamangu ana title. We did the KCSE the same time. Na nikaambia Mungu aliye mbinguni, ile wakati utanipatia mingi kidogo, nitarudisha kwa wananchi pia, kwa sababu wamenituma shule.
When you are going to university, you are the cream of this country. Make sure you behave as your creamness shows. Usitulete aibu ndogo ndogo. Usiende msikie iko hivi, atulipatikana ukikunywa chang'aa to hivyo huko KU ama wapi. Hizo ni aibu ndogo ndogo. Focus ni moja. Sisi hapa Kisii ni maskini. Umaskini umejaa kila mahali. Education, like Madam DC says, equalizes us.
And as Kenyans continue waiting to understand how WorldCoin was allowed to collect data in the country, Data Commissioner Immaculate Kasait has called on lawmakers to review the Data Protection Act 2019 and its regulations so as to avoid such cases in future. This comes just a day after WorldCoin CEO Alex Belenia told the National Assembly Ad Hoc Committee of Inquiry into WorldCoin that its business in the country is genuine since the operation in Kenya was achieved through third-party agents and partners.
Honorable Chair and members, on safety measures, Tool for Humanity Corporate alleged the following technical and organization measures to mitigate risks and ensure compliance with the data protection principles. Development and implementation of policies such as code of conduct, internal biometrics, processing policy, internal information security policy, personal continuity plan, personal code of conduct, incident reporting plan, encryption and partitioning of data, logical access, traceability, logging, archiving and minimizing the amount of data, operating security and protection of servers, cyber and cloud services, managing hardware backups and network security. Honorable Chair and members, on the 8th question sought to know the measures in indemnifying Kenyans from unlawful use of the data by WorldCoin or its agent. Honorable Chair and members, the Data Protection Act is a self-healing statute which provides for the following safeguards for Kenyans against unlawful use of their data by data controller or data processor. In order to protect the data subject, the Act has empowered the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner to 1. Cancel a data controller certificate as provided for under Section 22. 2. Issue an enforcement notice as provided for by Section 58. 3. Issue a penalty notice as provided for under Section 62. 4. Issue administrative fine as provided for in Section 63 of the Act. 5. Direct the compensation to the data subject as provided for in Section 65 of the Act. The above provisions are sufficient indemnification provisions to ensure that data subject can be indemnified in case where unlawful use has occurred. Honorable Chair and members, pursuant to the provisions, powers provided for under Section 22B of the Data Protection Act and the Regulation 16(1)(2) of the Registration Regulation 2021, the certificate, as earlier stated, of Tools for Humanity and Tools for Humanity German were revoked, and we have attached.
And with the lack of capacity in sign language interpretation among social and healthcare workers in the country, people living with hearing impairment have decried facing challenges when it comes to accessing their sexual and reproductive health services in various health facilities across the country. Speaking in Embu County, those living with hearing impairment have called on the national and county governments to train social workers on sign language interpretation and how to handle them.
pia tupate.
I'm Charles. I'm deaf. Today, we as deaf people, we are here and we are giving our grievances to the government because the deaf people have been left out in the society, in school, in education. Most of us deaf people, we are suffering on sex and reproductive health issues.
I thank Deaf Empowerment Society of Kenya so much, especially the CEO, for organizing for this workshop. The deaf people have gathered here in Embu Town with an aim of learning and also breaking the barriers and the challenges that we have as the deaf community. We have truly suffered. We are discriminated in the society, in different communities, and also in our families and in health facilities.
Today we are gathered here so that we can talk to our people in terms of the rights, the sexual and reproductive health rights of very young adolescents who are deaf. Because from what we have gathered from data, it shows that this particular group of people has been left out in terms of targeting by at the community level, at the parent level, and also at the government level. Also, healthcare workers to be trained on deaf culture and attitude, as well as on sign language, so that they are able to understand in a much better way and offer quality services to deaf people and also persons with disability.
And the Let's End Fistula initiative is a campaign started by a non-governmental organization aimed at educating people and reduce stigmatization around fistula victims. According to Sarah Omega, the initiative will see women receive psychological support to help them regain confidence and enable them also engage in development activities. The initiative also equips the women with income-generating skills to allow them settle and support their families financially.
Fistula has a lot of stigma. The women are not able to engage in various activities. They slide into poverty, and therefore the goal for our economic empowerment is to help them to be able to get new revenue income generating streams, whereby they can be able to help their families engage in projects at the individual levels as well as the group levels. And after a few years, we thought it wise that instead of waiting for women to get fistula and we treat them, we thought it was important for us to be able to engage in prevention work. And in prevention, what we try and do is we use the women who have gone through this to be messengers. They carry the message to be able to tell others that it is possible to get treated and rebuild their lives from this condition.
Ile wakati mimi nimepata fistula ni wakati ile ambayo nilipata mtoto wangu wa mwisho na ikaonekana kwamba uzazi wangu ulikuwa umeharibika. Nilikuwa natoka na mkojo kila wakati mpaka nikashangaa ni nini inafanyika na mimi. Kwa hivyo nilienda hospitali nikatibiwa. Sasa kwa saizi niko vizuri. Na kuna watu wengine huku nje ambao ni wagonjwa lakini wameogopa kusema maneno yao. Mujitokeze nje, mkuje, mutibiwe bure. Hakuna pesa ambayo sisi tulitoa.
Kupitia kwa hili shirika la fistula nilitibiwa na nikajisikia vizuri. Saa hizi wasiwasi liniondokea, nimejisikia kama mama wenzangu. Ndio kwa maana wakati hili shirika likakuja likatufanya tukawa kikundi ambacho sisi ni waathiriwa, na katika hiki kikundi tumefaidika na mafunzo jinsi mlivyoelezewa.
Now crossing over to Laikipia County, the county woman representative Jen Kagiri has criticized the Ministry of Education for failing to supply sanitary towels to school-going girls during this last and crucial term. Speaking in Gaboro Secondary School while distributing sanitary towels, Kagiri has insisted that the Ministry of Education should consider distributing the menstrual hygiene products through the Office of Women Representatives across the country and ensure that the girls benefit from them on time.
Kwanza kabisa ni kushukuru Mheshimiwa
Jane Kagiri kwa kutupatia sanitary towels. In fact, it has been a big challenge kwa wanafunzi wetu sababu ukiangalia hii sehemu it is one of the marginalized areas na watoto wamekuwa na changamoto sana, especially upande wa wakati wanapata hedhi yao. Kwa hizo siku zao wanakaa nyumbani, na hata akikaa pale nyumbani bado ni shida, kwa sababu ukijaribu kufikiria ama kufuatilia zile vitu wanatumia pale nyumbani, wanatumia sana sana, unasikia wengine ni majani, wengine ni torn clothes, pieces of clothes.
Ile kitu imenileta huku ni kuletea watoto wa wasichana sanitary towels, kwa sababu unajua kama mwanamke hiyo ni shida moja tunakuanga nayo, na nikifikiria vile uchumi iko najiuliza, na je, yule mtu wako kule chini na sehemu kwanza kama hizi ambazo hata chakula ni shida. So sasa unajiuliza pia sanitary towels atazifikiria saa ngapi? Ni vizuri nitaje hizi sanitary towels za serikali. Ni mimi nilichukua kama jukumu langu, nikasema ni lazima nitafutie watoto wangu sanitary towels, juu saa zingine unapata zile za serikali zinakaa. Shida moja tuliongea nayo na Mheshimiwa Rais Dr. William Samoei Ruto, na tukasema ni lazima sanitary towels ziletwe kwa akina mama ambao tunaita women representatives ama county MPs. Juu zimewekwa katika Ministry of Education, a ministry where these people have no touch with the child at the ground kule kwa county.
And in Malindi, residents of Mumangani area of Malindi sub-county today held a peaceful demonstrations protesting against what they termed as invasion by the Agricultural Development Corporation, ADC, in their land. The residents claim that ADC has been surveying their land and putting beacons in the last few days, but surprisingly they have marked their boundaries in people's lands which have title deeds. Locals say about 60 families have been affected, with some even losing between 2 to 6 acres of their land in the ongoing ADC boundary marking.
Shamba ya ADC sivyo ambavyo imetolewa, na ukweli ni kwamba wananchi wenyewe hawakuhusishwa. Wananchi wa Kakuyuni Ward hawakuhusishwa. Ama ulihusishwa? Wananchi wa Malimo hawakuhusishwa. Chifu hakuita mkutano, assistant chief hakutuita mkutano, DCC hakutuita mkutano, ili tukajua ya kwamba watu wa ADC wanakuja kutoa mipaka ya shamba yao. Sasa kile ambacho kimefanyika ni kwamba wamechukua mashamba mengi sana ya watu na miji ya watu, wameweka vikuta katika mabaraza ya miji ya watu, wamechukua mashamba ya watu, na kwa sababu mwananchi mwenyewe hakuhusishwa. Kwa hivyo tunalaumu utendaji kazi wa chifu wetu Biria na manaibu wake wote katika sehemu hii. Hatukupendezwa na jambo hili kabisa. Tunataka tuhusishwe katika kila jambo ambalo linafanyika ndani ya Malimo. Sasa kwa sababu sisi tumedhalilishwa, wazee wetu hawajui watalima wapi. Mtu anapokonya karibu eka 8 za ardhi, anapokonya nyumba 6 ati kwa sababu ni shamba ya ADC. Hili jambo hatuwezi kulikubali hata kidogo, na sisi tunasema tunatoa makataa ya siku 7 kuanzia sasa. Waondoe vile vikuta ambavyo wameviweka katika miji ya watu, wameviweka katika mashamba ya watu.
Ili tupatia karatasi za nini za total deed hapa. Hata karatasi ndio hii. Karatasi ndio hii. Hii ni karatasi hii. Walitupa hivi sasa wanakuja kutuwekea hizi vidude hapa hizi. Si waweke kule kwao? Kabisa. Waweke kwao. Si waweke kule kwao. Kwa nini walikuja wakaweka hapa? Waweke kwao. Sasa mimi naomba ombi langu ambalo nalitaka, EDC nilikuwa naijua iko, lakini hapa si mpaka wa EDC. Ninaomba kwa imani EDC ije iondoe hivi vigingi vyao wapeleke kule kwao.
Well, that right there marks the end of our bulletin tonight. Many thanks for tuning in. But before I leave, congratulations to Harambee Stars for beating Qatar 2-1 in Doha earlier today. And also, remember, Harambee Stars left the country earlier on Wednesday for the friendly match in Doha against Qatar, and will be returning the country tomorrow to prepare for next week when there will be meeting South Sudan in another friendly match. Well, we shall be here to keep you up to date with that and many more. But for now, my name is Sammy Adika. Do have a lovely night.